And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with his first breakdown of the week, the UFC on ABC fights. These are going to be at a normal time for you guys over there in England and a little bit early over here for us. And by early, I mean like 11 a.m. So not really that early. Main event is going to be Yair Rodriguez taking on Brian Ortega in a fight that should be happening in Mexico. But it's not. It's happening at the Apex in Las Vegas with no crowd. So
just as good.
Yeah, I guess, it is what it is. Right off the bat, I think that if I had to say who that's an advantage for, which I don't usually kind of wonder about this. I know it's kind of weird to wonder about this, but who would you say in the main event that's an advantage for?
Brian. Because
I would say
the difference in really, just for the difference in grappling, closing the distance. So I think Yair needs more space to implement his kicks.
So I get the distance aspect of it is definitely part of it. For me, I think Brian is going to have trouble even in this octagon with getting that distance for one. But I also think it's almost more impressive important, I should say, that he ends up having the instructions, because I think he's going to be in some grappling scenarios. So I don't think he has the grappling instincts of Alexander Volkanovski to where, he can use those instincts to get out of those positions. I think he's going to need all the instruction he can. I also think as a striker, there is some advantage sometimes to being in the Apex where you can kind of hear, and feel the strikes a little bit more. I think there's somewhat of a mental kind of game with that. Either way, I'm really excited.
I got lots of notes for that fight when we go to it.
It's going to be a really good one. We're going to just hop into this one. Oliver, thanks for the love there. What can I say? You're here, so what does that say? But we're going to start with a proper opener here, I would say. It's a strawweight fight between two ladies who I know one for sure was a former atomweight, but Emily Decate also in this fight, making her UFC debut, taking on Jessica Penne. What can I say? This is not, I think, the highest level of fights. Both these ladies fought Danielle Taylor. They had very, very different, results against Danielle Taylor. Emily Decate put her out on her feet, finished her with that head kick, one of the best knockouts of last year. Jessica Penne, I mean, she's a tricky grappler. I will continue to say she lost that fight against Lupita Godinez. She had about 4.5 years off because of USADA. And, I don't know. It's just like one of these things where I don't exactly rate her. And the way she wins fights is very, very 10 years ago. Just solely on the grappling, hardly using any striking. The striking to almost, almost just set up the grappling. It's not even trying to connect with her opponent type of thing. So this is my thing in this fight. Decate struggles against grapplers. She, has losses to women like Vita Ortega, Christina Williams, not the highest level of losses over with Bellator. It's a good show. She's came back from 6-5, so definitely has put together a good little run. But yeah, for me, it's just, both girls kind of have the weaknesses of the other here. And I just think that Jessica Penne is not going to do enough here to kind of get a decision. But this is a fight where, from a betting perspective, if I'm betting on it, which I'm not, I'm taking whoever the underdog is. And I bet it's Jessica Penne. I bet it's the 39-year-old here. I don't think Emily Decate is at all somebody I would get my money behind. That's what I'll say. I see this probably being a split decision and kind of up to the judges' kind of discretion of what they like.
Yeah, I always find it really hard to read Emily Decate. I think Jessica Penne is, you've named it perfectly. She's just not evolved her game. It's the same fighter as 5-10 years ago as well, but still at a decent level to actually still pick people off. Carolina is Carolina. She's not the same person as she was.
Yeah.
Lupita, even though I agree with you, I think Lupita did win that fight. It was a very close fight. So that still shows the level she's at. She's had so many cancelled fights over the last couple of years as well.
Lupita would steamroll Emily Decate.
I 100% agree. Yeah. So from that perspective, I don't like Emily's not fought in the. I don't like this is her debut and she's getting someone like Penne.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I think she's not good enough to fight someone like Penne. I think Penne should be at this stage fighting people intros into the UFC. I just think stylistically, I do think Penne can punish her with the grappling, and I think it's quite obvious. The only thing that I don't like is the age. I think Penne. I don't know how many weight cuts she's done. I don't know how good condition she's still in at 39 years old. I know she's always looked.
She looks like she's in good condition. She's still actively training jiu-jitsu. Definitely,
She's got 11 years on her, so you know. Dacate's on a good win streak at the moment, hence she got called up to the UFC. She's in the prime now. She's in them peak years, so I'm assuming she's turned a table. You know, she's
just taking a look really quickly at Gordina, which is I think like little fat girl or something like that. But yeah, she's 5'2". Last 3 wins: Juliana Lima, Danielle Taylor, Alicia Zapatella. So here's the thing: is she's fighting a 4'11", 2 straight 4'11" girls. Alicia Zapatella is small for 105. Like this is a very different type of
challenge. A big size difference, isn't it?
I'm going to go with Jessica Penne by decision. I don't think it's going to be an impressive decision at all. I do like that she's an underdog here. If I was thinking about betting at plus 120, not enough to kind of entice me here, but I do think she's the side here. Emily Decate definitely has, you know, I mean, you're going to see that Danielle Taylor highlight from last August a lot. I will say that much. So, but
there's a guy in the chat saying they both got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'd like to see who gave Decate the black belt.
I agree. I do favor Penne both with regards to her grappling and her overall frame. Next fight here, Dwight Grant taking on Dustin Stolfus at 185. I'm going to have you set this up real quick. I just got to check on something. I'll be back in 1 second. Sorry about that. But I actually do like this fight for a Dwight Grant fight.
For a Dwight. Oh, okay. So, yeah, we'll start with Dwight Grant then because Dwight is literally all arms, isn't he? He's got a really small body and incredibly long arms. And he was actually doing really decent, I thought, against Candusco in the last fight. He was piecing him up and actually hurt him. I think he knocked him down in the first round. Really doing good, high volume, serious power you've got to really worry about as well. Did okay against Trinaldo, but Trinaldo is what he is. He was winning for me that entire fight against Sergey until maybe a minute before he actually got hit with the overhand. Mm-hmm. I thought he was doing a lot better. We both picked Candusco in that fight.
Right.
And I didn't think Dwight would do nearly as good. And if he just backed off a little and wasn't so aggressive and didn't get carried away, I think he would have actually won that fight. He's a big
Which is funny to say about Dwight Grant.
It is, isn't it? He's a big problem with those mystical arms. He's just all arms and no body.
And he's so inactive.
He's so inactive, but I am glad he's doing a quick turnaround, but I'm not glad because he got knocked out. Right. So Dustin Stolfus, though, on the other hand, he got choked out multiple times by high-level jiu-jitsu guys. That's not going to be the case here. Don't worry about getting choked out by Dwight Grant. Just don't worry about it. But what you got to worry about is getting pieced up by those long limbs and not getting inside that range because that's going to be a major issue here. He struggled with Carl Dorcas's range. So when he's against someone who's got, I think he's got a 76 or 77 inch reach, Dwight, at 6'1". So it's quite a long reach here. It's going to be issues for him. Also, Dustin Stolfus's reach on paper, I think on Tapology is similar. Go look how he strikes. It's not similar.
No.
Dwight Grant uses his range. Dustin sits more inside and trades. It's not the same thing. So I think it's going to be a Dwight Grant for me anyway. I like Dwight Grant after what I saw last time. I'm not convinced by Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin, man. Coming into the Contender Series, I was actually pretty excited about Dustin Stolfus. Had a fight against Joel Pfeiffer, which I was actually really looking forward to both sides of that fight. And then it was kind of like a slam that broke Pfeiffer's arm. Pfeiffer's still working his way back. I bet Pfeiffer makes another appearance on the Contender Series. But you look at all the highlights of Stolfus from before the UFC. Beautiful grappling. His striking was impressive, switches stances, throws good kicks. Like, he looked really good. And then he comes into the UFC off of an injury in the Contender Series. That's the first kind of red flag for me. It's like, you didn't really win your fight to get in here, and now you're in a little too deep. He seems like a 170er at 185, which is ironic since Grant's the one making the move up. I don't have a I don't have a worry about Grant making the move up to 185 with its frame. My worry is getting knocked out 2 months ago, getting dropped twice, I believe, in that fight as well.
Yeah.
Stolfus, is a good striker. The power isn't there for me. So I do think this is a good spot for Grant. He has to kind of find that Goldilocks like middle range between his activity being too active and too inactive, because he can give away a couple rounds. This can look like the Stefan Sekulic fight, which in my opinion he didn't win, but he got the nod in. But you get judges. So if you got a judge, you get judges that really like the Penne fight and they get them in the mood, and then Stolfus kind of comes out and does a similar game plan. We might have judges that are okay with grappling. In 2022, we're not seeing that be the case. So with Penne, I feel that the veteranship in the frame was enough of an advantage to edge her for a decision there. I'm going to go the opposite way here. I'm going to go with Grant. His first fight at 185 since 2011, though. So definitely
Two
has
small 185ers as well with that.
Yeah, he's and Stolfus is a very small 185er, but again, Trinaldo, not enough activity. It's why he lost that split decision. And then he got knocked out and dropped twice in April, just a little over 2 months ago. So
yeah,
just a couple buyer beware points there. It would one thing that wouldn't surprise me is a Stolfus TKO. Honestly, it would not surprise me.
Especially because he was finished not too long ago.
Yeah, he was finished not too long ago. Stolfus does throw a lot of kicks and kind of, things like that. It's just like, I think you're going to get a really good price, because I think most people are assuming kind of grappling submission type of game for Dustin. But Dwight Grant, only minus 145. So plus 125 on Stolfus. Definitely would think about Grant, and I personally think a Grant by TKO here makes the most sense to me. A decision either way, you're getting kind of nervous. So, but should be an interesting fight. Next fight, super close fight at 205. Dustin Jacoby taking on Da-Un Young. This is, I think, one of the fights that I definitely have gone back and forth on this card, more than most. But should be a good one here. Da-Un Young, he's had an interesting UFC career for sure. 15-2-1 for the 28-year-old overall. His draw coming against Sam Alvey, and that will always be in the back of my head. Other than that, he's looked very, very good. William Knight just wrestled him to death. Keddy and Jukwu, who just looked really good last week, finally. But then again, Carl Roberson could not have more Carl Roberson that fight in every way, right down to quitting at the end. But still, Kennedy, other than the Paul Craig banana peel, this Da-Un Young definitely was the best that anybody's looked against Kennedy. Definitely a good win. That was back in November. He's taking a little bit of time off here. Mike Rodriguez to finish, Khalitze Ibrahimov finishing. He's beating guys he's supposed to. That draw against Sam Alvey, definitely a concern. Dustin Jacoby, what can you say? Slow starter Jacoby. Just kind of steady as he could against Olajaychuk in the last fight. I wasn't really impressed with Olajaychuk, though. Also has a concerning draw. His was against Jan Kutalaba, where Jan nearly finished him in that first round, because Dustin Jacoby takes a round to start. He just does. He's pure Muay Thai kickboxer here. I've been back and forth. I could see Jacoby really, fending off the takedown, staying at distance, and just kind of pitter-pattering and kickboxing his way to a decision. I also could see Da-Un Young crashing that distance and catching Jacoby early and putting him away, putting him in spots like Da-Un Young or like Jan Kutalaba did. I think Da-Un Young finishes in those spots. He has good elbows, good close range as well. He also has the ability to win a decision here, in my opinion. I think he can mix it up. If he can get those takedowns, this fight becomes immensely easier for him. So for those reasons, I am going to edge with Da-Un Young in this fight. I just feel he has more ways he can win. Both these guys, I think, are at really similar spots in their career. I think this is a really appropriate matchup here. We kind of keep waiting for Dustin Jacoby to take that next step. He's He's probably been in there with a little bit of better guys, but still, I think Dao Young, is looking the part for me. So I'm taking Dao Young. He is a slight underdog as well at plus 115.
I think from a betting perspective, you've hit the nail on the head. From a picking perspective, I cannot go against Dustin Jacoby just because I always do, and he's on a very good streak right now. I'm completely opposite as well. I was really impressed with Algeo, however you say his name. I think he's really good. I think he's a very undersized. I think he's a welterweight fighting at middleweight, so I thought he did actually pretty good. But all the rest of the fights, he just, as you say, takes a couple minutes to get going. Once he does get going, he just dances around you, slices your leg in half, and just boxes your face off. Mm-hmm. His body kick, his switch kick as well is perfect. And I think he does a really good job of negating any form of attack. He slows the opponent down so much they fall into his game. And that's what he's really good at. If you look at all the fights, no one can get started or get going with him. And he's deceitfully clever at setting traps to make you panic about a shot that he can't actually throw. He doesn't throw knockout shots. Mm-hmm. He throws pity patters like 60-70% shots.
Yeah.
But he makes you fear that it is a knockout shot, so it negates every bit of movement with that front kick, using it as a jab. So if Daun does get him in positions that Eon did, I agree, probably can finish the fight. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he will. I think he's going to get very frustrated and he's going to lose a very dull decision to Dustin Jacoby. I can't bet against him personally, but from a betting perspective, listen to you because I wouldn't bet. I mean, it's very close. I wouldn't bet him as a favorite.
Yeah, Jacoby minus 130 here. I was surprised. I always, break down the fights and try to avoid looking at the odds beforehand. And I definitely was expecting to see Dao Young like minus 120. So slightly off from what I was expecting, but not astronomically at all. So, 34 years old for Dustin Jacoby versus the 28-year-old Dao Young there too. So, could be a factor, but Dao Young kind of a smaller 205 or 2. So Jacoby has shown he can kind of use that distance.
And Jacoby doesn't really take damage either, to be honest. Not really.
No, other than that Jan Kudalaba moment, which was, that happens. And he did survive and win the next 2 rounds. Next fight, Herbert Burns, Bill Algeo. These guys got paired up because their opponents fell out. But it still should be a pretty good fight. Both guys like kind of a little bit taller and lengthier for the division, 6'1" versus 6 foot here. Herbert Burns and Bill Algeo both throw knees. They both take a lot of damage. Bill Algeo will look to wrestle. Herbert Burns will be willing to let him wrestle at times. Can Bill Algeo avoid the traps on the ground early on? I do feel that Herbert Burns, after the first 6 to 7 minutes, even on his back with his jiu-jitsu, is not quite the threat just due to the gas tank, due to the ability to really push it for 15 minutes. I think Bill Algeo looks to take this one deep and, make this a long, drawn-out fight. Herbert Burns, 11-3 here, 34.5. Bill Algeo, 33. So both guys older here. Both guys, definitely need this win. Daniel Pineda getting the win not last August, 2 Augusts ago. So he's been off since 2020. Had to withdraw from a fight with Munoz, had to withdraw from a fight with Billy Quarantillo, and then Ashkabov withdrew. Bill Algeo definitely 15-6 has been more active, beating Yo Anderson Brito by decision earlier this year. Went to a decision with Ricardo Ramos. Spark Carlisle, he exposed the gas tank and beat him. I think this looks pretty similar to that. I think Bill Algeo has a potential to get hurt early on the feet or submitted by Burns, because I do think Burns is dangerous in both. But after the first round, Algeo stacks up the next 2. So possible live betting scenario, because I could see Herbert Burns winning the first round, and you can get Bill Algeo probably at a much better price than minus 200. I don't like that at all. I could, this could get very close. I could see Herbert taking the first couple, slowing down in the third, but minus 190, no thank you. But yeah, for me, Burns is first round or bust.
Couldn't have said it better, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah.
I agree with Visceral in the chat. I think Herbert Burns is dangerous for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
After that, I just don't see how you beat Bill Algeo over the distance, because that's his bread and butter. Round 2 and especially round 3. That's where
Anderson Brito, same thing.
That was super impressive. That's one of the best wins I've seen, because we were both really high on Brito. We thought he was going to do a lot more than he did.
Yeah.
And that's how I see that fight going, man. I preferred the original matchups, annoyingly.
Yep.
Because I had Billy Q beating Bill Algeo, but I think Bill is better than Herbert Burns. Herbert's an old 34, and I think Bill's quite a young 33.
Being off for 2 years if you're Herbert Burns is a big red flag.
I don't like that.
When your brother's so active too, it's like it's not like the Burns name was having trouble getting fights.
Yeah, exactly. And all the guys he has beaten in the UFC, you think they're not that level. I know Bill's probably falling in under that same category, but I just feel like he's top of that non-ranked tree.
I agree.
And I just think Bill Algeo is going to win a 29-28.
Yep, I agree. And this is the next fight here. This one is super close. I know we both have a lot to say here. Ricky Simone taking on Jack Shore out of Wales here. This should be a tremendous fight. Who's going to have the wrestling advantage here? Will it come down to the feet? 27 versus 29 here. 5'6" versus 5'8". Jack Shore is going to be the slightly longer guy. I will say Ricky Simone will be the stronger guy. So it's ironic that Jack Shore is called the Tank here, just because I do think that Simone would be a little more fitting of being called the Tank in this fight. But he's called the Tank because Jack Shore can take a lot of damage for sure, and he keeps going. Timur Valiev fight was a tough fight. He had some very, very rough spots in that one. Timur Valiev got cut today, so that loss maybe gets shined a little harsher. Now, I think that's a rough cut right there. I think there's a ton of guys in the division Valiev beats, and I think it's a business decision the UFC made where they're like, we don't want Valiev beating, whoever, some more fun, maybe up-and-comers who Valiev could. But still, Ludovic Shaolinian, I mean, he's doing what he needs to in these fights, but it's a real bummer we didn't get to see the Umar fight. It's a real bummer we didn't get to see a Saeed fight. The Hunter Azur fight, he went to a split decision. That's aged like milk at this point.
That also, I don't know how that was a split decision.
No, but still, I mean, it was competitive enough with a guy who really has shown to fade and crumble in Hunter Azur. So not putting away a Hunter Azur is, a little bit of a demerit, even if it was, and it was only last year. It was at a point where I think he should have been able to, but I do think he won that fight. He looks to get you down, get you into the grappling, get your back. Ricky Simone, very, very powerful wrestler. Looks to be physically in, phenomenal shape, getting in better and better shape. His two losses came to Rob Font and Uriah Faber early on in his career. He did get choked out by Anderson Dos Santos, though, back in time. That was in 2016. But regardless, he has been shown he can get his back taken. Mirab Divashvili was winning that fight and was really, kind of dominating with the grappling until he caught that guillotine at the very end. So Simone has shown he has trouble when being put on his back. Very, very close competitive fight with Ray Borg, but I don't think that was a split. So they both have a split decision on the record where I don't know how they see it was a split. Don't let that kind of blind you too much. Brian Kelleher, was kind of I think, the version for Simone of that fight where it's like, you should have looked a lot better in that spot than you did. What Jack Shore would do to that guy. And then a sunset. Going from a sunset to Jack Shore is quite, a different type of set of problems. I do think Valiev is a more impressive opponent of the last 3 to 5 that Simone has had. Gaetano, Perello, just not guys that are all that special. So, it's a very close fight. I think that a lot of people seem to be on Ricky Simone this weekend. I was on him for most of this week. I'm going to go with Jack Shore, though. I think it's going to be close. I think it goes to a decision. But for me, the one who does have a more likely route of finishing would be Jack Shore. I do think if he gets that back, he can possibly put away Ricky Simone. I do think this is a hugely pressured situation more for Ricky, actually. Jack, I think with a few of these split decisions, there's been some expectations that he's going to have this setback. For me, if Ricky loses this fight to Jack Shore, it really does where
he's in the same position, isn't he?
Yeah. Jack Shore can lose to Ricky Simone here and he'll be fine. And so, yeah, it's a close one here. I think that the length of short can give him some advantages in some of these grappling scenarios where he's going to be able to out scramble Ricky. He's a little bit quicker on the ground. Ricky's stronger, but strength dissipates as the fight goes on as well. I think it's a close fight. No mystery where you're going, but I don't consider it bias. Kind of tell me what your thoughts are. I was with Ricky a lot this week, but this is a dog that I see a lot of people on. I'm going to actually go the opposite way. I'm going to go with Jack Shore. Possible late submission I could see. I really could. But otherwise the decision.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, I've been watching Jack since he was 11-0 as an amateur, live. And then saw him at Cage Warriors 76 when he fought David Kroll, and he rear naked choked him. You said that he kind of looks to get it to the ground and take the back. I think that was the Jack Shore game plan. What he is he's pure fundamentals. He's got excellent in and out movement, really good distance management, doesn't take risks. He has clean boxing, great head movement, strong in a clinch, knows what he's doing. If you get in a clinch, he's not wondering, oh, what should I do here? He's either getting out, or he's damaging you and getting out, or he's tripping you to the floor. He knows his game plan, and his team are so methodical with everything they do. And every time you see him fight, he just gets increasingly better and better and better. And Timur Valiev is a way higher level opponent than a Sun Sao today. A Sun Sao 2-3 years ago, when Cody knocked him out, with that, that was the end of a Sun Sao for me.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't looked the same. He's chinny now. Ricky barely, he clipped him not even on the temple. It was like eyebrow and just, It was chicken legs. And it wasn't like a crazy hard shot. It was a decent overhand right. I think Jack has an excellent chin when he does get touched. The problems he was struggling with was the speed advantage that Timur showed. Ricky is not that quick to Timur's level. He does use inside leg kicks, but he only does it for 5 minutes. Then he's, as you say, he slows down. He gasses a little bit, not gasses out. He hasn't got bad gas tank. He just gasses. He slows down dramatically. What Jack did to Valiev is what no one else has done to Valiev. He outpaced him, which is very difficult to do over 3 rounds, and especially that third, which I scored a 10-8 because he knocked him down 3 bloody times, nearly knocked him out cold. That's where Jack, I think, he took more from that third round against Valiev than he has in his other 15 fights. He's going, I am the real fucking deal. And I kept thinking, this is a really tough fight for Jack Shore. And then I'm going, no. This is a really tough fight for Ricky. That's what it actually is. I've flipped it on its head, because when you're invested in someone so much, like I am Jack Shore, you look at the opponent going, oh, he can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And then I'm trying to work out all the ways Jack to negate that. But actually, what can Jack do to fuck up Ricky?
Right.
His whole game plan. I agree with you. Ricky's a better wrestler, but Jack is way better when it hits the mat. I have no problem with that. If Ricky's going to do something, he's just going to hold him. He's not going to advance position. He's not going to be. He'll just be sitting in guard or half guard and trying to rain a few strikes down before Jack gets his way to his feet. Yeah. When it comes to striking, I think the only advantage he has is power. I think Jack is a much better technical boxer. I think he uses leg kicks better. I think he's better in the pocket and better with distance. And I am biased, so take that with a grain of salt. But
I mean, I've been on Ricky Simone his whole career. Trust me. I was expecting to go with him here. The more I kind of did think about how they match up, I am going Jack Shore.
Kelleher's the fight that threw me.
Yeah.
Like, you should have dispatched Brian is tough as nails and he's brilliant. He is not a ranked fighter.
You should dispatch Hunter Azure, though, is the other side of the coin.
He should have, but Hunter, remember, came in that with a lot of hype as well. Jack was injured as well. His knee was gone in that fight, so he fought that with one leg. Ludwig Scholinen had a lot of hype. Aaron Phillips had a bit of hype. And he's 5-0 in the UFC, coming from this side of the, when you're from England or UK or whatever you want to say. These guys don't do 5 in a row.
Yeah. Minus 170 on Shore, plus 145 on Simone. I know Simone's a lot of people's dog for this week. Not here, though. So we're going.
I'm happy that you switched, but I hope it doesn't.
I have thought about it more and more. We go from a fight I had to think about a lot to a fight I don't think I need to think about a whole lot. Puna Soriano.
How is this ahead of it on the card, though?
Yeah, Puna Soriano versus, because Dana likes smash. I don't know. Jack Shore versus Punahele Soriano here. These guys are going to throw down, and one of them's going to go down. And I'll be honest, this is the last time we get the fade Dolce Lambulia. I'm going to fade Dolce champion here. I think Puna Soriano has the better gas tank, the more accurate shots, the better movement. I think that Dolce either goes out there and purely strikes, becomes predictable, gets countered, or he tries to wrestle, gets tired after 3 minutes, and gets knocked out. Soriano should take notes from his Extreme Couture teammate in Chris Curtis and body shots. Wear down Dolce, fill the basement up with exactly. Visceral said great body shots. We're on the same page as usual. Yeah, so this is exactly what he needs to do. First round body shots, second round up top, finish him. I think Punahele Soriano gets a second round TKO.
Perfect. That's literally it, isn't it? I thought Soriano actually looked quite good. Did he have one leg against Maximov as well?
Yep.
Didn't he?
Yeah, it was a split, but I mean, it wasn't a, you know.
He was doing some good stuff on the feet, though. It showed the level of striking of Maximov in that last fight. But yeah, Soriano's power. He's got really sharp hands. As long as he's healthy coming into it, he should just march through him. To be honest with you.
Yeah, Dolce's just not a guy I'm picking against a lot of people in the UFC. Plus 200 on Dolce, minus 240 on Soriano. You can get a better price by going with the KO, but at the same point, it's probably not going to be much better. You're not going to want to super trust Punahele Soriano against anybody, but if there is a spot I trust him, it's here against Dolce. So we'll move on. That's the end of the prelims. On to the ABC main card. Starting off the main card, we have a flyweight potential contender bout if Miesha Tate wins, because the UFC just wants Miesha Tate to fight for a title, whether it's at bantamweight, flyweight, anywhere. We just want Miesha Tate, big brother winner, to fight for UFC title against Valentina Shevchenko, I guess, which will be a brutalization, just like Lauren Murphy got brutalized last time. This is an interesting fight. Both these girls kind of at the latter stage of their career. It'll be interesting to see how Lauren Murphy bounces back from that Shevchenko fight, where Shevchenko really put it on her, but it's Shevchenko. Miesha Tate was just completely outsized and didn't look great against Caitlin Vieira. She just didn't seem to pose a lot of threats. Her last one was over a gym teacher in Mariana Renault. So it's just like, for me, I like where Lauren Murphy's at in her career mentally much more than where I like where Miesha Tate's at in her career. I don't like that Miesha Tate went on to Big Brother to win $1 million. I don't like that, you know, she's going back down to 125. I think she's going to struggle to make that weight, but maybe that's a sign she's actually focused. I mean, this is a real who the hell knows fight for me. It's not one I'm looking to completely put any sort of money behind. I'll say that much. I do think it's being set up for Miesha Tate to win and, you know, get a title shot off it. I do think the UFC will give her a title shot off of this if she wins. But it wouldn't surprise me if Lauren Murphy is able to kind of go out there, kind of use her speed to just kind of outstrike Miesha, you know, and just kind of keep herself safe. But I can't really get behind that. I do think Miesha has enough here, but I'm not confident, if you can't tell by how I'm talking about this fight. I mean, it's just, I don't know where Miesha Tate's at. She had already retired once, and then she goes on a reality show. I'm just not like crazy about it. Almost 36. Lauren Murphy's nearly 39, though. I think Lauren Murphy's in tremendous shape. I'm curious to see how Miesha Tate makes 125. Miesha Tate by split decision.
Yeah. It's all about how Miesha looks at this weight class, to be honest. It's been cancelled a couple of times, this fight, isn't it? And was the last one was a couple of weeks ago.
Due to COVID.
Okay. So if Miesha should have been fighting at this weight class anyway. She's not she's not a small bantamweight, but this would have been a more appropriate weight class when she's actually similar size to Lauren Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Lauren Murphy has a lot of skills. I think she's good at what she does, which is bully you against the cage, rip, you know, take 3 shots to give 1 and wrestle you to the floor. Miesha Tate's a little bit more technical, has very good jiu-jitsu and very good wrestling. I just think there's more ways to win for Miesha, and I think she's going to look for volume and win a decision. I don't think she's going to finish Murphy. I think Murphy's she's very plain, like fundamental base, very easy to like work out what she's going to do, but actually finish her and negate her and make her want to stop attack, like coming forward. She never stopped coming forward to Valentina for that whole fight.
And this is in the apex.
Yeah, I don't think that makes a major difference. They mirror each other a little bit, but I just think Misha's going to be a bit more fresh, a bit more motivated. This Misha 3.0. So
yeah, well, I hope so. I'm picking her here. I picked her against Kaylin Vieira as well, so buyer beware there. For me,
I'm not convinced. But
yeah, Misha Tate definitely at this price. I'm not playing her. Minus 225 is crazy. Plus 180 on Lauren Murphy is the only play here, in my opinion. If you're betting this, just Misha Tate minus 225. Just no, in my opinion. So should be a fight. I'll say. I won't say it will be an interesting one because I'm not sure it will be. But weird way to start out the ABC card. Next fight, though, very good fight. Potential fight of the night here. I think it could be just pure action here. Shane Burgos, Charles Jourdain at the 145-pound division here, also known as featherweight. Shane Burgos, always exciting, very, very fast, good size for the division as well. He's a longer guy here. He's got more volume, but he's 31 now. So, he's not quite too old for the division, but he's aging out of the division slowly here. 26 years old is Charles Jourdain. 13-4-1. Been a little bit up and down, but 1-2 straight. Dropped a split decision to Andre Fili. Had the split draw against Josh Kulabau, which looks a little better now. Had a very competitive fight with Marcelo Rojo till he finished it there. Was a little concerning. Lost to Rosa, crumbled in the third round. Then wasn't able to finish Mr. Highlight. A little bit of a concern there. And Lando Veneta looked better, got that guillotine choke pretty early into the round. Showed kind of a new wrinkle to the game potentially there. So very good. Shane Burgos, 14-3 is a killer or be killed type of guy. Coming off the decision against Billy Quantillo. Took a beating against a one-legged Josh Emmett, but we now see, Josh Emmett competing for that title potentially. Edson Barboza shut his lights off. He really works his way deep into the fights. Seems to add to the volume as they're going. Split decision with Cub Swanson on there, but I don't think that was a split. Knocked out Amir Khani after kind of surviving the early attack here. For me, I think Burgos is going to be the more active, higher volume striker here. I think this is mostly going to be a striking affair. I think Charles Jourdain, activity is the key. And this is a tough guy to kind of increase activity against. He's going to be smaller, have a significant reach disadvantage against Burgos as well. It's just a tough matchup for Jourdain, in my opinion. I think this is goes to the distance. I think it's a decision, but I'm going to edge towards Shane Burgos.
I think Shane as well, for the weight, he's very physically demanding. He's a big dude. He just towers over people. I know he's not like statistically that much taller, but he looks like a giant for the division. How he didn't get knocked out against Josh Emmett, I don't know. But Charles Jourdain does not hit like Josh Emmett. He does not have the volume of Calvin Kattar. He doesn't have the kicking ability to negate the movement and that heavy lead hand of like Barboza could do to him. That was the shameful one for me where Barboza knocked him in that delayed shot, wasn't it? It was really crazy to watch, but
yeah, it was rough to see.
It was really, yeah. Charles Jourdain's on a little bit of a hype run at the moment because of that Andre Ewell fight. I don't rate Andre Ewell as a UFC fighter.
No,
I think he's very, very average. He's got a lot of good things, but not many. Lando Veneta, you can choke him out round one. Okay, you're top of the non-ranked guys now. That's the level you're at. You're bordering that top 15, and Burgos is he's the gatekeeper of the top 10 for me. He's a very, very difficult individual to figure out. He's long, super rangy, has a massive right hand on him, dances well, kicks your legs out from under you. He's got great takedown defense as well. I don't think Jourdain's going to do that. I think it is going to look similar to the Andre Ewell fight if Charles wins, where he's going to be pushing him against the cage and trying to just land those knees to the body and slow Burgos down. You're going to have to get inside that range and really work the clinch game. But It's where Burgos does some of his best work. He knows people want to do that to him, so he's landing the elbows out of the clinch like every fight. So I think it's kind of just a 30-27 Burgos win here. I really like Shane in this fight.
Yeah, I like Shane a lot here, especially at the price minus 165.
Yeah, I think that's really good price.
Really fair price, plus 140 on Charles Jourdain here.
Yeah,
so
he's got a lot more tools than Charles as well. Charles he's good, but I think he might be a bit rushed. It was only a couple fights ago he got dice choked by Erosive, wasn't it? So
yeah, huge opportunity though on ABC for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, if he could take that, he could jump into that spot and get it. And then the next fight after that, you never know. He could be fighting like Arnold Allen or Korean Zombie or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But this is a good fight also. Really solid main card here. Matt Danger Schnell taking on Sumanjari here. This is an interesting one for sure. I've kind of said over and over again with Matt Schnell, my question, it's like, can he take that damage? Can he take those shots? Sumanjari is going to, put him at risk. But I do think this is kind of one of these scenarios where I like Sumanjari early. I like Matt Schnell late. Can he survive that storm on the way to the later half of the fight where I think Schnell can potentially exploit some of the grappling and take over to Medellin. But we'll look at the now 26-year-old, 16-4 overall. Very, very good size for the flyweight division at 5'8", but stands very long, and just his stance is very effective for his range. Zaruk Adashev, Zaruk caught him in that fight. He caught him as the fight went on. The defenses started to lapse a little bit for Sumanjari. Before that, he hit Malcolm Gordon once, and Malcolm Gordon acted like he'd never been hit before. So it's like, can't really tell a lot from that. And then Sukumtov, another decision here. Luis Smoka exploited the armbar to choke him out. Habu Ma with WLF choked him out. Again, if you're going to stand there and trade with him, he's going to go cruise to a decision or knock you out. But Matt Schnell, I don't think is just going to stand in there and trade back and forth. Although Matt Schnell's stand-up has really improved as well. It's like you got to use the grappling here. You got to work your way to the floor. Matt Schnell's shown before in fights with, where he's the better grappler. He can really take advantage of that too. 15-7 for Matt Schnell. He's kill or be killed. Got guillotine choked out by Brandon Royval in that first round of the last fight. A Bontarine decision loss when Bontarine was like 131 pounds, and I don't think it was a loss. Tyson Nam, this can look a lot like that, where Tyson Nam was landing early and often, and then Schnell just kind of grinded his way back in it and eked out that decision. I could really see that here. Pantoja put him away, no shame there. And then the guys who he exploited the grappling against, Luis Smoka and Espinosa. He was the better grappler, and he just looked much, much better. I think he's going to be a significantly better grappler here with Sumanjari. I just don't know if he's going to go to the well enough, and I'm not sure if he has the takedowns to get it there also at the end of the day. Sumanjari has a very wide frame that he braces up against the cage very well to avoid the takedowns. It could really tire Schnell out also, and we could kind of just see another kind of Sumanjari technical decision type of performance here. So I do see a route where Schnell ends up in that submission, and then I'm hitting myself, but I'm going Sumanjari by just being able to take down defense and decision.
Yeah, it's if Matt has still got a chin and he can get
only
3
32
rounds.
years old.
I know, but he's taken some damage.
Yeah,
remember when Pantoja knocked him out?
Yeah, 6
that
or
right
7.
hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Sumanjari doesn't have that kind of power though. He's precise. Sumanjari doesn't have that.
He's more timing, power. Yeah, absolutely. But again, so Schnell's got a lot more patience. Like the Bontarine fight showed his patience.
Yeah, I think he won that fight too.
So do I. So those are the sort of fights where I'm like, okay, definitely, like could do some damage to Sumanjari, but I don't think Sumanjari is going to have the route where he does normally lose quickly, where he rushes in or he just leaves a neck exposed or something like that. I mean, that was just one mistake. That's what happens. No. So I'm kind of ignoring the Royval fight that happened. whenever it was it a couple months ago? Wasn't
Yeah.
that long, was it? So it's a quick turnaround. He's taken no damage since then. So I know he's in good shape. He refused to take the fight against Perez when he missed weight. So he's very professional, Matt Schnell. And I like him for an upset here because Sumanjari is good.
Yeah.
He's got great pace, great timing. But he's got one massive hole in his game, which I do think Matt could exploit. You did say it, but I'm just running with it. So I'm with Matt Schnell. I had him against Bontarin and Royval. I feel hard done by on one of the fights, but I'm running with him against Sumanjari.
I'll tell you, I'm not betting Sumanjari at this price. Mine's 275.
Yeah, I think that's quite expensive.
Plus 220 on Matt Schnell here. I would totally understand a Matt Schnell bet completely. I mean, I think that, I'd be curious to see what like the under 2.5 is, because I could see us being finished on either end. Pretty likely here, and usually under 2.5 for 125ers you can get plus money. So maybe that'd be a route you look to go. Should be a good fight.
If Matt gets risk control from bottom or top,
yeah,
I think Sumanjari's in for a rough ride.
Yep. Next fight. First of all, I'll say right away, you can check this fight over at Norton's channel. Norton and I spoke about this fight already over there. It's already over on the channel. But Li Jingliang taking on Muslim Salikhov here. Overall, I think that this is a very interesting fight. I think that for Li here, he's really going to have to rely on speed and, timing, kind of some of the more thudding, laboring shots from Salikhov. But one thing Salikhov does, even with kind of his spinning strikes and everything, is he strikes and he puts himself in spots where he's not at risk to get hit when he's putting up his offense. There's a significant power difference between these two as well. For me, Muslim Salikhov hits like a middleweight. He looks, he's like built much more compactly than Li Jingliang, was a little more of like kind of the lean muscle type, like a Neil Magny, but has a little more, pop on his shots. I mean, I had this edge towards Muslim Salikhov in this fight. We kind of talked about over on your channel. Do you have any kind of different thoughts from what we kind of discussed?
I think Lee has to implement more of a grappling-based game, to be honest, because someone like Garcia, remember Alex Garcia, when he exposed Salikhov's back, it was, he's eating body shots a lot, because the way Muslim fights, as you say, it's not necessarily that highest volume, but he strikes to hurt. He strikes similar to how Thai boxers strike. I know he's a kickboxer, but Thai boxers aren't high volume. Each strike is intended to hurt. That's how you score points. And for me, I think if Lee's standing in front of him, no matter how determined he is to get out of the way of things, he's going to eat some shots, whether it be calf kick, thigh kick, inside, whatever. And you said it yourself as well. He's not afraid to take risks, Salikhov, with the turning side kicks. Personally, I just think it's a real uphill battle for Lee stylistically. I don't think he's going to get finished in the fight. He's tough to finish. I just think it's kind of just going to be a straight kickboxing fight, and it's hard to bet against Salikhov when it's those sort of rule sets. Yeah,
no, I agree, and it'd be interesting if Lee gets him down and ground and pounds him out. I'd be shocked.
If Lee can get him down, he can steal the rounds, and I think that's how we can win.
Yeah,
but I just don't see it happening. But I hope I'm wrong, because I want a competitive fight for Salikhov here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty closely lined. Minus 175 on Muslim Salikhov. I don't mind that at all. And the plus 145 on Li Jingliang, I can understand that as well. He's faced some very high level of competition. He's put away Ponzinibbio when he was coming off of that major surgery, but still very impressive, fight there. Salikhov, I believe, lost to Zaleski Dos Santos, for example, in that fight. We saw Li Jingliang catch Dos Santos. So, earlier we were talking with Decate and Penne, the similar opponent, and how they fought that opponent. This is another spot where I'm edging in the similar opponent, the one who beat that similar opponent less impressively. So maybe it's really not even worth mentioning that much. It's kind of a form of MMA math at the end of the day. But I like Salikhov by decision. Minus 175. I do not mind at all. We're on to the co-main event. This is at flyweight. I don't know what to really think about this fight. I'll
Do
be
you mean to
honest.
start with this one?
I would love for you to start with this one.
Yeah, man.
And
Okay.
what
Well,
up, Steve? The newlywed in the chat, finally out of his honeymoon phase. Back to
yes.
the game. Welcome back, boy. But go ahead.
And he's got a dog now, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the whole thing, the yard. He's got the wife, the dog, baby's coming next year. It's just, I don't know. I'm just kidding. But not gonna lie, I can joke about that.
So
but go ahead.
We've got Michelle Waterson, the lady. She's very difficult to finish. Let's start with that. The last person that's finished,
and she's shredded currently.
She's absolutely jacked. She's always in great physical condition. She's a complete.
I've never seen her look better than this.
Absolutely. Does not negate the fact she is a small flyweight still.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember she fought atom weight? You know, she's the atom weight champion. She's a small individual. Amanda Lemos is not small. Packs a punch. She's like a mini Amanda Nunes for me. Not nowhere near as good. It's a comparison by the end of the shots. So Michelle Waterson only loses to, in my opinion, the top 5 of the division. Other than that, she pretty much beats everyone. She beat Angela Hill by split decision. I had her comfortably beating Angela Hill, and Amanda Lemos, I had losing to Angela Hill, even though she got the win. So it shows like that sort of level. The Carla Esparza, the Joannas, the Tisha Torres, Marina, they're the people that beat Michelle Waterson. She uses turning side kicks as a jab. She's a complete point-based fighter, in and out dashing.
Mm-hmm.
Her high volume, nothing lands to hurt, and that's my issue with her. She never negates. Like you always want to march forward against her because nothing she throws is going to crack you hard enough to really hurt you, and that's one of the problems of her career. If she had knockout power, same as Joanna, imagine Andrade knockout power with Michelle Waterson, she's unstoppable. Same as Joanna. It's that sort of high volume, a lot of risk, not a lot of reward. Amanda Lemos has the power. She may have been fighting people of lesser quality, but she's finished them, which is that's what I like to see. The counter right against Montserrat Ruiz. Step forward.
We're talking about Montserrat Ruiz.
No, but my point, finished her in 30 seconds. I want to say a horrible opponent comes in, gets her out of there within 30 seconds.
I mean, yeah, but Michelle Waterson is so many levels above.
Ruiz. My point is that she hasn't fought someone of Michelle's category other than Andrade, which she made one careless mistake and had no idea what to do in that position. The fact that a lot of people picked Amanda Lemos against Jessica Andrade really annoyed me. It really annoyed me.
I'm pretty sure I got Andrade at like minus 170.
So it was insane, wasn't it? I was like, I can't believe this.
And I live better, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Amanda Lemos needs to just march forward and get in the face of Michelle Waterson. That's literally all she needs to do. Michelle has decent judo, decent grappling. Like, she has great trips. It's almost like a head and arm Taitoshi into a scarf hold, where she just holds you like Alexei Oleinik to Derek Lewis, that kind of head and arm, if people are a bit curious to it. But that's pretty much all the grappling she's going to implement here against Lemos. It's going to be a striking fight where she's side kicking her to bits, trying to keep range, and then she's going to be dashing in and out Wonder Boy style with the 1-2, getting her distance again and rinse and repeat. If Amanda Lemos hits her, it's going to do more damage. That's all it is. It's damage versus volume, and I think that's how this could be a fight where we're seeing judges not knowing how to score it. Where by the end of the fight, Michelle Waterson has done a Rob Font Cheetah Vera, he's outlanded him 3-1, but all the damage is on Michelle Waterson's face, so he's still scoring it for Amanda. It's one of those fights for me. I think Amanda Lemos should be walking through someone like Michelle Waterson, especially with the power she can sit on. Yeah. But it always worries me over a 3-round fight with Michelle Waterson because she knows how to steal those rounds with those kicks. So I am backing Amanda Lemos. I think she should just walk through this pretty convincingly.
MD dollars. I don't know anything about boxing, but add boxer Ryan Garcia to your parlays this weekend. Okay, I don't even know what Ryan Garcia is fighting or boxing, but okay, I'll trust you. I don't know anything about boxing.
Normally, you would earn no money off Ryan Garcia, by the way. But
yeah, like I can't stand betting on boxing. Betting on boxing to me is horrible.
Don't make any money normally.
Dude, it's just horrible. But with this fight, I kind of agree with what Justin's saying in the chat here. How over 5 rounds, I actually would like Waterson a little more because you'd be able to see 2 to 3 rounds of lack of volume from Lemos. You'd see her getting tired. Here, I think Lemos does enough to steal at least the first couple rounds or be more impressive with regard. I'm going to edge damage over the volume that Michelle Waterson has here. Michelle Waterson just is, I think happy doing other things outside of fighting. We've seen a few of these fighters retiring lately or being cut from the UFC. We saw Felice Herrig say she was happier outside of fighting, obviously in a very different way than Michelle Waterson. But I think we see Michelle Waterson's gloves in the middle of the cage after this one. I'm not saying it means she gets finished, but I think she retires after this fight. Amanda Lemos was afraid of being hurt against Jessica Andrade. And I think it got in her head. She got into that position that she could have gotten out of, in my opinion, and she panicked.
She had no idea how, did she?
She panicked and tapped. But I think she was just overall intimidated by Jessica Andrade. You're not going to be intimidated by Michelle Waterson here. Michelle Waterson can kind of out-tact you to a decision, sure, but I think Lemos does enough to bank 2 rounds and win this fight, edging out a decision. But I don't like the price of -400 on Amanda Lemos.
No.
That is crazy. We do not know how Amanda rebounds. Amanda is also mid-30s herself. She's not young. She has a lack of volume, a huge lack of volume. There's going to be a huge difference in volume in this fight if Michelle Waterson has her way also. And, I think Michelle Waterson's been showing them more of the willingness to mix it up and even go for takedowns, kind of surprised with the timing, too. And a tired Lemos could really labor to get back to her feet. So plus 285 Waterson's the only play here. Otherwise, let it go.
Yeah. Also, Ryan Garcia is minus 1,400. So.
Oh, thanks, MD dollars. I'll pass on that. It's good. I'll pass on the cents they make. We're on to the main event. Best fight of the night. I'll say it right now. The main event is the best fight. It is not always for me but here, Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega. I cannot wait to see this fight. This is going to be a complete war. Both these guys coming off very impressive last performances. But I'm going to start with Yair Rodriguez here. He is 29 years old, nearly 30 for the Mexican fighter, who is just constantly just underrated for whatever reason. But he's going to be the longer, taller guy in this situation, coming off of a great war with Max Holloway, which I think, contributed a lot to the game plan that Alexander Volkanovski was able to put together. I do think Rodriguez kind of really cracked how to beat Max Holloway, even though he didn't win that fight. It was just a really great performance there, and everybody was counting out Yair before that fight. Yair's very tough. He's in there the whole fight. The Jeremy Stevens fight showed me a lot of toughness, actually, and I get he went to a decision, but again, that's a guy that, I think Yair has been pointing to, wanting to kind of quit the Frankie Edgar fight. I think he grew a lot from that fight. He was losing a significant amount of the Korean Zombie fight before landing, and he was going to lose that fight before landing that elbow. And that was, I don't want to say lucky, but about as close to a lucky shot as you can get, to just kind of duck under and have your arm just naturally kind of momentum of it swing up.
Because they spent about 4 minutes of the whole fight just hugging each other, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And he cannot get into that situation here. He cannot get into a hugging situation with Brian Ortega, because if Brian Ortega gets a hold of him and gets him down, it's danger time from the first second he gets him down. I did mention at the beginning.
It's not even. He doesn't even have to get him down. Think of Cub Swanson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he gets that back, and even though he's gonna have coaching from his coaches, I don't think there's amount of verbal coaching within the fight that can help you if Ortega gets to the positions he wants to get to.
Nope.
Can Yair avoid those positions for 25 minutes? That's the big question. If he does, I think this is going to be a bloody-faced Ortega. I think it becomes a pretty one-sided kind of beating for Yair here. So that, because I do think on the feet, there's that same gap as on the ground for Ortega. So it's really fascinating about which one of these fighters gets the fight to where they want.
I think the gap's that bit different on the feet.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think that Yair is going to be very well prepared for this, have BFS Academy, very good training partner.
Can I throw in something for it? What about Brian's 5-round destruction, not getting touched once by Zombie, piecing him up, knocking him down twice, and Yair losing the stand up to Zombie?
I guess it kind of goes with my trend here tonight of the common opponent taking the guy who less impressively beats him. I think that so Korean Zombie fought Ortega after Yair, correct?
Yes.
So that fight changes. That fight changes you. The winner of that fight, the loser of that fight, it changes you. We've seen how Zombies look since that Yair fight. He was on his way to beating Yair, and then it was just now he had to fake Volkanovski in there and everything. But we saw a little bit of it. This is for me. I think that Yair is going to be able to work with the timing and kind of the patterns that he's able to download off of Ortega if Ortega falls into the strike. I think Ortega has to be going for the takedowns every round and multiple takedowns every round. I think that's going to wear him out. I think he's going to become frustrated with that. I just think Yair's ready for this test. Yair has to avoid one spot, and that's getting – well, two spots, I guess, if you want – of getting his back taken on the feet and getting taken down and getting Ortega into the mount side control area where he can start to implement those triangles, the arm triangles, the guillotines, all that. So for me, I think Yair is going to be ready for this fight. I think it being 5 rounds is an advantage to Yair. And yeah, I do think that the edge on the feet maybe isn't quite as big as the edge on the ground for Ortega, maybe, but I think it's pretty damn close. And the fight starts on the feet. And I think Yair is going to be able to avoid the takedowns. And I just think that he's longer, he's quicker, and I think he's going to edge this one out. I could see this one getting very bloody.
I disagree with it. I disagree with a lot and agree with a lot. It's nice that we're so different. I think the 5-round suits Ortega more. I think he's got a far better gas tank.
Interesting.
Than Yair. I think Yair's style, where it's dynamic and explosive movement, everything is 0 to 100.
I did not know this, but they're friends. I didn't know that.
I don't think it's going to go bloody. That means nothing. That means it's going to get worse. That means it's going to get... Ross Houston, Nicholas Dolby were friends. Go watch that. They had to cancel the fight because there was too much blood on the vinyl. Cage Warriors. But yeah, I think the way Yair is everything 0 to 100, every bit of movement he does with every shot. The switch kicks he does, the question mark kicks, the turning kicks, the wheel kicks, every kind of kick in the world. He can do it all. And he does do it all in the fight. He makes you guess everything. He makes you hesitant to strike at every opportunity. Brian is a lot more fundamentals, which is what he came through with Korean Zombie. Every time he fights, he improves dramatically. He took a lot from Max Holloway and put it on Zombie. He has had, other than the second fight of Volkan Max, where I had Holloway winning, but I can see both sides, he nearly stopped Volk twice, nearly won that gold. Within like another couple seconds of that mounted guillotine, he's champ. He nearly dethroned the second pound for pound guy right now. Ortega is the real fucking deal. Yair, if he comes in anywhere near as good as he looked against Max, Brian's in a lot of trouble on the feet. But I just feel Ortega...
Do you agree with Justin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think he's going to sub him because you're saying that he has to get him down into side control or mount or any of these positions. He'll pull guard. First and foremost, he's T-City. He's Triangle City. He is flying triangles. I met him when he did a seminar in the UK with Henna Gracie when he was a blue belt and I was a teenager.
That's crazy.
And he was flying triangle Henna at the time. It was with a guy. Alan Manganello was the coach at the time. Third degree black belt. And he's just like, it's really weird me like not knowing who this random kid was, and then all of a sudden, like I say kid, he's way older than me, but and then years later seeing him in the UFC, I'm like, I know him, I met him, and I got a picture with him when he you know when he was like 16. I think he can pull guard against Yair, and Yair will not know what to do. He will be drowning on the ground. I think Brian is all he's got to watch for is explosive movement. If he gets inside the range, which easily do.
From the apex.
Yeah. Who's finished Brian as well, by the way?
What was it? It was just, did Max finish him in that fight? Or did he make it?
No, doctor stoppage.
Right, yeah, I'm
No,
counting
it's not a
that.
finish. He was continuing.
He was
I'm
finished.
saying Brian is. He ain't.
I mean,
he will
Yair
go to the end.
could cut him up and finish.
He
Doctor
can cut him
stoppage
up,
him.
mate. Brian had no eyes in that Max fight. He was like, "Let's do this fifth. Let's get him."
We might see it again. We might see that scar
And,
tissue pop right back up.
You might do. I'm just wondering how many wars Yair's been in now as well, and what Frankie did. I know it was in 2017 or 2018.
Yeah.
What Frankie Edgar did to Yair Rodriguez
And
is
then
show
what Ortega did to Frankie. They have a lot of similar opponents.
Yeah, but the whole point was what Frankie did to Yair is exploit that massive hole he has in his game, which is he has very, very average grappling. Not stand-up defensive grappling when it hits the floor. When it hits the floor. Brian Ortega is the male, like him and Mackenzie Dern. Like they will just ride any submission they want for as long as they want. He switched a grip against the second-degree black belt in Cub Swanson while hanging off him and just choked him. He converted the triangle against another second-degree black belt in Diego Brandao while rolling through it with the triangle, made it look effortless. That's what he does. He makes black belts look like white belts. And that he's such a high level, and it's so hard to describe because he never uses it. He just, like, lately, he's just fallen in love with striking. And that's what, if he's going to beat Yair, he can't do that. So
he's got to know that.
It is a dangerous fight. I think it's like a 70-30 split for me. I think Ortega is deservedly the favorite, should definitely be the favorite.
Minus 165 is not a bad price, though.
Nope. And I think that is pretty good. I think I wouldn't have been surprised if he was 3-1, honestly, just because of how good he has looked, and he's only fallen short to the two top guys.
It's fair enough.
I do want to point out
you've talked me out of betting Yair here. I will say that I'm still gonna pick Yair.
I think Yair is a good bet as well, though. I think
I'm just gonna sit back and watch this fight, man.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do this one.
I could see other guy getting a finish. I definitely could see Yair getting a decision as well. It's harder for me to see Ortega getting a decision. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
I can see Ortega winning a decision.
Yeah, but I mean, and so that really makes it any of the four scenarios, a finish of either guy or decision. That's what you want in a main event. They're familiar with each other. I believe they have trained in the past together as well. Betting Ortega by submission, I don't think is a bad bet.
Tell me this: if they've trained together, you tell me Ortega knows where Yair is weak on the ground.
Exactly.
He's like he can't defend him out of guillotine. He can't defend whatever. Yeah, he'll grab a Kimura from standing and just
that's fair enough.
I think Brian wins by sub.
Yeah, and this is honestly a card that's way too close to really come up with a 5-piece parlay on.
We got 3.
I mean, so let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and we'll each give a 3-piece. So what's your 3-piece money line parlay?
Okay. That's hard. I think Shane Burgos has to be in it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think
so we're gonna. I'll add Shane Burgos to our parlay.
I would put Soriano in it.
Okay. Bill Algeo would be for me.
And yeah, it was between Bill Algeo, to be honest, and Salikhov.
Okay.
But I'd rather put Bill Algeo in.
Okay, so we're gonna go Bill Algeo, Punahele, and Shane Burgos for our 3-piece parlay. Gets you to plus 250.
I think this is one of the best matchmaking cards I've seen in a while. A lot of the fights are 50-50.
They've done a great job. You're seeing a lot of minus 200 or less. If you had Salikhov in there, plus 500, by the way. So if you did Bill Algeo, Salikhov, Shane Burgos, and Soriano, that is plus 500 on that money line parlay. But this is a super close card, really well matched. We're gonna see, we're gonna see how it goes this weekend. But at the Apex, live early, as I said, 11 o'clock the fight prelim start, so 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the UK, and then it's a 1:30 p.m. start on ABC. So 6 fights on ABC. But that's gonna do it for the breakdown. Double-digit viewers, as always. We are gonna start going earlier in the week, Monday or Tuesday for the most part. Got an awesome LFA this Friday, guys. LFA 136 Battle of Brazil. It's going to be incredible. Look at the card. It's I think the best LFA that's been put on maybe ever, top to bottom, especially the main card. So awesome Brazil on Brazil action. I'll be back with Lucky Locks for that tomorrow. But for Norton of MMA, Lewis Norton MMA, I should say, for Aaron the DPG or Aaron the dog for next time when I come on, we're out of here. Take care of each other, everybody. Peace out. Thanks for joining us.